know. We're coming back to open session at 6:38 p.m. We'll now break for our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Ms. Azuri Valentine. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. We can sing the national anthem if you want us to as well. Ready? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With liberty and justice. Thank you so much, Ms. Valentine. Okay. So next roll call, we have 4 board members present, Mr. Rose, Dr. Aguilar, Mr. Peterson, and Kristen McGuire. Absent, we have Ms. Jeanette Flores. Oh, yes, Ms. Flores did come in at the beginning of our meeting at 5:30 to be officially sworn in. She is ill, so she had to stand right outside the door to take her official oath of office and then return home. Thank you. Our report of action taken on closed session items. In closed session, the Board of Trustees took the following action to approve settlement agreement case number 22 ST-CV 13963 and with the included terms. The motion was made by Dr. Aguilar. It was seconded by Mr. Peterson. The vote was 4-0 with 1 absent. Board awards, Dr. Jordan.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to everyone. This is great. We're going to do a little celebrating tonight before we get to our organizational part of the meeting. So at this point, we've got 2 groups from Charter Oak High School that we want to recognize, and I'm going to ask the principal, Mr. Dultz, who will come up and start with the first group, which is the Charter Oak High School volleyball team.
Thank you, President McGuire and Board of Trustees, Dr. Jordan, and Executive Cabinet. Always a pleasure to be able to stand in front of the Charter Oak community and brag about the wonderful things that go on our campus and the wonderful students and teachers and advisors that help them along the way. First group that we're going to bring up is our volleyball team and head coach, Baza. They made it to the semifinals. Yep, come on up, guys. To the semifinals and represented Charter Oak very proudly in the CIF playoffs. And then in the state tournament, they ended up going to the second round. I can't remember the last time the Charter Oak volleyball team went this far, and we are very excited about the progress and the team that Coach Baza has directed and where they're going to be going in the future. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you to the volleyball team. Congratulations on an amazing season. Next, we're going to have Mr. Dultz introduce our award-winning band.
Yes, and the many that are about to come in through the doorway. We've all been very blessed to be able to be present for our band's performances, whether it's on the football field or out at field shows. Tremendous work and effort, and I can't thank Mr. Lopez and his entire staff enough. They are incredibly dedicated and hardworking members that we are very grateful to have. And then the kids just perform. They work so hard, travel tremendously, and their attitude and the behavior is just fantastic to see how excited they get to represent Charter Oak. They made it to, yeah. I didn't know if they were walking in or not. Yeah.
Okay, come on in, all the way to the front.
It might take a while.
Come on up, that's okay, we got time. This is good stuff.
All the way up, guys. All the way to the front. All the way to the front. No problem.
This way, honey. This way.
If you're in the bank, come on up. You guys might have to go back a little bit also.
I mean, considering I invited myself.
Okay, Mr. Start all over again.
Okay.
You guys need to hear the wonderful thing you were saying.
All right, no problem. Always happy to say it. So, under the direction of Mr. Lopez and his amazing staff, which we are blessed to have, you see him out there every night. I get the pleasure of listening to them practice right outside my office every evening. Gets me distracted, but I'm grateful that it is. These kids work so hard. And what you see them holding right now are championship medals, plaques, and banners for their Division 2A championship for band sizes of 50 students or less. So they actually are the CIF champions for Division 2A. And then I'll say as well, I had the pleasure of going down with them for the state championships where our band of 50 competed against much larger bands, and they put on a show and really, really did play their hearts out. So we're so proud of them. Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna take it from back here because I'll give you one. All right. Everybody, all right. Ready, guys? 1, 2, 3.
Good job, Theo.
Thank you, band.
Enjoy your time off. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good job, you guys. Good job. Good job. Good job. Congratulations.
Hey! Yeah, sure. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Hey, how are you? You guys been to
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our organizational items. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a great night. Hold on one second. Okay. So just so you all are familiar with what's about to happen, we will take our ceremonial oaths of office. We will elect our new board president and vice president. We will have a passing of the gavel ceremony, and then we'll take a brief intermission for photos. After that, unfortunately, I know people will leave our meeting, but that's okay. Do you want to take it from there?
Yeah,
I'll pass it to Dr. Jordan to begin the oath of office.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start this part. As Mrs. McGuire mentioned, tonight we had already done the official swearing in prior to closed session, and unfortunately, Mrs. Flores had to leave, so we're only going to have the ceremony for the remaining two board members to be sworn in. So we are going to begin with inviting our board president, Mrs. McGuire, to go first. So if you'd like to come forward and invite your guests. Would you like to, while we're still on mic, introduce the cheering section?
Sure. I'll be sworn in this evening by my mom, Shondalyn Small. And then also I have here my brother, Rex Richardson, my sister-in-law, Nina Richardson, my daughter, Charter Oaks Finest, Caitlin McGuire, my mother-in-law, Michelle McGuire, my husband, Todd McGuire, and my nieces, Mila and Alina Richardson. In the back, I have my godson, Jalen Torrientes, and my bestie, Angel Torrientes. I'm sorry, they said, isn't that the mayor? So, Mayor, Long Beach Mayor, Rex Richardson. How do we turn it on? Is it on? Oh, okay.
Are you ready? Okay. Oath of office. I state your name.
I, Kristen McGuire,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of
And
California.
I take this obligation freely
And I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
upon which
I am about to enter.
I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's do pictures.
Yes, picture time.
Come on, family and everybody. If you got an intro, you get to come up.
There we go. Everyone's looking great. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's great. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, our next swearing in will be Dr. Aguilar. Okay, Dr. Aguilar, please raise your right hand. I state your name,
I, Christian Aguilar,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Yeah, and I actually have a couple family members as well. I have my mom and dad here, Connie Aguilar and Jose Aguilar. If you guys want to come up and take a little picture.
One, two. I'll just take one more. One, two.
Actually, maybe one more with Dr. Jordan, if you don't mind.
Well, let me do one more thing.
all right.
So I also want to award you from Assemblywoman. Good to see you again. Good seeing you. I want to let you know that Blanca Rubio's office, Assemblywoman Rubio, has sent over a certificate recognizing your service and honoring your swearing in for today. So this is to Dr. Christian Aguilar from Blanca Rubio. So congratulations on that. Can you get a hold of that?
One, two, three.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for that too. Yeah. Okay, if I could get, as the time is getting, hold on, we're not there yet. Sorry. Never mind. I'm getting excited. I'm ahead of myself.
Next up, we will do the election of the new board president. I know, don't cry, guys. I have to pass the torch. As a reminder, in accordance with board bylaw policy 9100, members may nominate themselves and vote for themselves. Okay. Okay, you good? Okay. Each candidate will be invited to make a qualification statement for the position. The board will vote individually by roll call for their choice from the list of all candidates nominated. Voting continues until a candidate receives at least 3 votes. In the event of a tie, a new vote will be taken between the tied nominees. Board members will be reminded per Board Bylaw 9323, meeting conduct, that the board believes that when no conflict of interest requires abstention, its members have a duty to vote on the duties before them. We are now open for nominations for president. Are there any nominations?
I'll make a nomination.
Dr. Aguilar,
I'll nominate Mr. Greg Peterson.
we have a nomination for Greg Peterson. Are there more nominations? Are there any nominations? Nominations are now closed. Oh, you have another? He nominated? Yes. Okay. Nominations are now closed. Each candidate can now make a statement of qualification. Mr. Peterson, do you have a speech for us?
Not a speech, just that we're in a transition period in our district, and I think it's important that we've had somebody who's been there before. And I've led this team in the past, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Thank you. I'll now call for the vote. That'll be a roll call vote. Mr. Rose,
No.
Dr. Aguilar,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
I am also a yes. Do
do the student vice president? So we have 3 yeses, 1 no. The nomination will carry. Mr. Peterson, you'll be our new president. We'll now proceed with nominations for vice president. Nominations are now open.
I will make another nomination. I'd like to nominate myself for vice president.
We have Dr. Aguilar with a self-nomination. Are there any other nominations?
Parliamentary inquiring. I think the person cannot be nominating himself in the position. Am I correct, Dr. Jordan?
That is incorrect. This board changed policy where board members are allowed to nominate themselves as well as vote for themselves. And that was done a couple of years ago.
2 years ago.
Fix it.
I'm sorry?
A few years ago.
I believe it was 2 years ago.
That was the board policy that I read at the beginning, 9100.
Yeah. Okay, I'm stupid when I hear, but when that changed a couple of years ago? Because a couple of years ago or whatever, I want to continue the parliamentary inquiry. May I, Madam President? Thank you. Because my understanding is that policy would change to not allow a member to nominate himself or herself to the position. When did that change that he now can allow
Lori, can you pull
to
up our-
nominate himself?
I'll have Lori check for us right now and pull it up for you.
If you recall, the old policy, as Mr. Rose stated, is a board member during the reorganization was not allowed to vote for themselves nor nominate themselves. And there was a lot of discussion a few years back about that process, and the board then changed policy to make that open for all members to be available. So everyone was inclusive of that. That board policy was changed in October of 2023.
Okay, thank you. No more further questions.
Thank you. So we have one nomination for Dr. Aguilar for board vice president. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Last call, any other nominations? Nominations are now closed. Dr. Aguilar, would you like to make a statement for this position?
Sure, thank you, Madam President. I think likewise, in this state of transition for the district, with new leadership coming in the cabinet, I'm really excited to be able to kind of step in and also help lead. I've had the pleasure of serving as president and vice president beforehand. I'm really excited to be able to do that, and I know that in the event that Mr. Peterson would not be able to either attend or discharge the duties, I'd be happy to take up that role. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now proceed with the roll call vote. Mr. Rose?
Abstain.
If you can remember the note, we are requesting that all board members discharge their duty of voting tonight.
I'm confused. That's why I can't vote on.
Very well.
Abstain.
Understood. Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That gives us 3 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Okay, former Madam President, before we discharge you completely, if you would please join me in the middle of the room. Eric, would this pick us up to this mic, or should we stand closer to it?
A little closer.
Okay, we'll get a little bit closer. Two things that we have for you. Sure, if you would hold that phone. Thank you. We also have recognition from the Assemblywoman's office, Blanca Rubio, who wanted to recognize you for your swearing in tonight. So on behalf of the Assembly office, that is to you. So congratulations. And then outside of that, I just want to take a moment on behalf of the board and myself. For those of you that need to understand a little bit about our relationship, the superintendent and the board president over the course of their year probably spends the most time on the phone, in person, begging for coffee, whatever. I buy her coffee. Usually, just trying to meet because there are so many things that happen over the course of the year, and it a lot of times starts with the board president. And I just want to say, you've been an amazing board president. I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that you provide. There's many times I'll call you and say, hey, what do you think? And you're not afraid to tell me, and that's a good thing because I need to hear that. And I think we have partnered really well, where we've been able to problem solve together. You are always willing to listen. You are always willing to provide advice. And in the end, I think every time we found a solution that we could agree on to move forward, because in the end, that's what helped our kids in our district. So I just want to say to a great year, congratulations. We have two things for you. We have this plaque, and then we also have some flowers for you. And those are for you. And I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, now I'm going to be in charge for 2 more minutes. If the board doesn't mind coming up and let's do a picture together, and then we'll bring family up after that. Yeah, I'm going to be your assistant.
I love that idea. You want to go back to work.
You did?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more. Let's terrify. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, let's bring the family up again.
Or you just want the main folks, or you want everybody?
One, two, three. One more, please. 1, 2. Perfect.
All right.
I feel like since we're in the giving spirit, I'd like to make a speech before I'm unseated as president. Dr. Jordan, can you make your way here, please? So many of you maybe don't know, but Dr. Jordan is retiring, and this is actually his last meeting. And he's done so much for our district, and he's done a lot, really being able to lead our district, get us solvent as a district, and really make a lot of improvements that we wanted. We are now 1-to-1 with electronic devices for our students, which was a huge goal we had here at Charter Oak. We're moving into the next century, getting new Wi-Fi for the classrooms and all of this technology that we did not previously have. Lastly, he's really helped transform our district into a career and college-going school district, where we didn't really talk to our students about all of our students about what their future plans were. Dr. Jordan has really started these conversations in our district, and I'm really proud to be a part of a team that has really changed the way our students look at their education. So with that, we'd like to present you with the plaque. So thank you for all of your service and to bid you farewell.
Well, thank you.
Oh, that's a candid. That was
Oh.
candid.
We have a lot of
We also,
Oh, my gosh.
there's a large sign frame from all of your admirers.
Oh, my
All people,
goodness.
we got a whole set too, there you go. I can help you out.
That's not all.
It's actually a humidor.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
I like it. Dr. Kim?
Yeah. All right, it says to Dr. Jeff Gordon, Jeff Jordan, in grateful recognition of your visionary leadership, unwavering dedication, and lasting impact on our students, staff, and community. Your legacy of excellence will continue to inspire future generations. With heartfelt gratitude, the Charter Oak Unified District Board of Trustees.
Thank you, you guys. That's awesome.
One, two, three. One, two.
All right, well, I hope we'll say some more words at the end. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna change seats up here for a minute, so there are cookies and some drinks out in the lobby. We're gonna take about 5 minutes, please go get something to eat, because I'm not allowed to bring those home. And, thank you for coming. Congratulations to our board members.
What time is it? Or we'll just call back to order. All right, thank you, everyone. We are going to come back from our recess and pass the gavel.
Sorry, Ann.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to,
I'd like to say a few words regarding McGuire. May I?
sure.
Thing around and thank McGuire for being our president. I appreciate you open ear, listen to my concern. I know not many of them agree with me, but you were open to it and make good decisions that reflect the entire board. And I appreciate you being on the board as our president. Thank you for serving with us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ross.
All right, as we move on item 10 under the organizational items, we're at number E, or letter E, election of representative to elect members to the County Committee on School District Organization. The incumbent right now is Dr. Aguilar. And I will open nominations. Nominations for County Committee on School District Organization are now open. Are there any nominations? I'll make a nomination. Dr. Aguilar? Any other nominations? Okay, nominations are now closed. Candidate is invited to make a qualification statement for the position.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. I will happily accept the nomination. I've enjoyed sitting in this role for the past year, and would be happy to continue to do that and serve the board in that capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I will go ahead and call for the vote. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mrs. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, and that'll be 4-0 with one absent. All right, I will move on to item F, the election of representative to San Gabriel Valley ROP. See, if more than one candidate nominated, and I'll say it again, each candidate is invited to make a qualification statement for the position. I will call for the vote, et cetera. I don't need to read that. All right, the incumbent right now is Jeanette Flores, and nominations for representative to San Gabriel Valley ROP are now open. Are there any nominations?
I'll make a nomination. I'll nominate Jeanette Flores to continue in that role.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Mr.
I'm
Rose?
nominating myself for the position.
Mr. Rose, okay. All right, are there any other nominations? All right, each candidate is invited to make a qualification statement for the position. Mr. Rose, would you like to give a qualification statement?
I believe that I could serve on the ROP committee, and I feel I can represent the entire San Gabriel Valley, and looking forward to serve on that board. I'm ready to jump in because I'm a high school teacher myself, and I'm involved with pathways with other teachers, so I'm very familiar with the ROP program as well, including pathways. I know 2 different pathways. I understand that one, but they're both similar to the program itself. I'm looking forward to serve on the committee.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, we will now call for the vote.
May I ask?
Oh, yes.
Parliamentary requiring, must Dr. Aguilar appoint a person who is absent on the board to be nominated?
I believe the question was, do you need to be present to be nominated?
Yes.
The board policy, as all the other elected positions, state that any board member can be nominated by themselves or another board member and can be voted on by any board member. There's nothing in board policy that states that the board member must be present.
Common sense would say that the person needs to be here because to allow the person to give a speech why, for example, Floyd should continue to be RLP. What do you call this? Representative for the RLP. I'm not here. She's not here. I don't hear her speech. I just want to let you know that I believe that common sense approach would be that a person needs to be here to be nominated.
All right, with that being said, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Mr. Rose?
David, Mr.
David?
Rose.
Yeah, who do you choose, you or Ms. Flores?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you choose yourself or Mrs. Flores?
Right.
Who do you choose?
Rose.
Okay. What is it?
Each person will choose which candidate they want to vote for. Oh, okay. The candidate that gets 3 votes will be the.
Mr. Egler?
Rose.
Okay. Ms. Flores. So Mr. Rose is appointed 3-1 with 1 absent. All right, that'll take us to item G. Filing of statement of facts of public agencies, designation of official mailing address. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Mr. Rose, call for the vote.
I'm
Any
sorry,
any questions?
repeat. Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Stevie? Logan? Yes. Azuri?
Yes.
All right. All right, motion passes 4-0, 1 absent with 2 student reps in the affirmative, which takes us to item H, the certification of signatures. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second? Okay, any discussion? With no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Logan? Yes. Azuri?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 4-0, 1 absent, 2 student reps in the affirmative.
Mr. President,
Sir.
for our future ones, we'll start with the student vote first.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, on item I, establishment of date, time, and location for 2025 regular meetings of the governing board. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Call for the vote. Logan?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Motion passes 4-0 with 2 students reps in the affirmative. That takes us to item J, the authorization for district superintendent to designate staff members to sign reports and communications not requiring specific board action. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? With no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Logan?
Yes.
Missouri? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mrs. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes 4-0 with 1 being absent and 2 student reps in the affirmative. And that will take us to item 11, student representative report. Logan?
Mr. President and members of the board, here's my report. Warner Brothers field trip. Arrow High School went on their school-wide field trip of the year. It was a great trip. The students really enjoyed it. We got to learn history behind filmmaking of movies and TV shows. We took a tour of 2 studios at the Warner Brothers. Semester ending. Our first semester is coming to an end at Arrow. Students have been working hard on grades, credits, and attendance. We are on the second day of finals. We are glad to see the improvement of students. We wish the students returning to COHS a bright future and happy holidays. Model continuation school visit. We had a model school team from another continuation high school on the Arrow campus yesterday. They visited classrooms to see what teachers and students were doing. They wanted to know what the students were learning. They talked to students, teachers, and parents. They asked how the school has helped students improve. The team liked the positive comments students and parents made about the school. It was a proud day at Arrow. It was a positive visit, and we are hoping for a positive result to be a model continuation high school in the state of California. Members of the board, this was my report. Thank you for letting me present tonight. Dr. Jordan, I wish you a happy retirement, and thank you for your support through our school.
Missouri.
Good evening, Mr. Peterson, President. Good evening, Mr. President Peterson, Board of Trustees, Dr. Jordan, and the Executive Cabinet. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share all the amazing things that are happening at CO. Our Charter Oak had our signing day on December 4th, where 8 seniors were able to proudly show which universities they have committed to for the 2024 through 2025 school year. 2025 through 2026 school year. Last week, our Charter Oak High School Choir Department performed their winter choir on December 6th and 7th. Charter Oak Football had our clothing drive fundraiser on December 6th. Lastly, tomorrow is the last day of final for exams and the end of the first semester. And here is my first winter sports update. Boys basketball is 2-7, boys soccer is 1-6, and they tied 1 game. Girls basketball is 5-1, girls soccer is 2-4, and girls water polo is 0-2. And here is some upcoming events. Our winter break officially begins on December 23rd and runs through January 3rd. Several of our winter sports programs will be participating in tournaments over the break. On January 6th, we will be returning to school and the second semester begins. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you both. I appreciate all your efforts. Takes us to item number 12 for the ROP report. Mrs. Flores is not here, so we're going to skip that. And we'll move on to the superintendent report. Dr. Jordan?
Okay, thank you, everyone. Welcome again. Just a few quick updates. You know, the month of December is about celebration, and all of our schools have just done incredible work getting to this midpoint of the school year. The holiday festivities that they've done, the concerts and the performances and the activities that the teachers have done with their kids in class, just was phenomenal to be able to see. Appreciate the extra effort on top of the things that everyone's already doing. So I think it has set the stage to get through tomorrow and to be able to get everybody on the much-needed winter break. And I think that our kids are in a good spot. Staff is definitely needing the time off, and so we wish everyone the best on that. I want to take a minute just to say thank you to the board. The last 2 weekends, we've had the opportunity to participate in the Covina Christmas Parade and the Glendora Christmas Parade. And we did something a little bit differently this year. Per the request of our board president, we reached out to our staff, and we realized that we have super highly talented staff, and they built a float that was absolutely incredible. And we got so much recognition and so many compliments at both parades. And I thank all of you that were able to join us for those sessions to be able to showcase the great things going on in Charter Oak. And there was just a lot of pride. And it was so fun because as you're driving down, whether it was Badillo or Glendora Avenue, people shout positive things. They like us. And that, right? Logan, the kids got a chance to be on there. They like us. So that means we're doing some good work. And you should be really proud of that. So thank you for your support on that. Charter Oak Ed Foundation last week held their annual holiday thank you, and our choir was invited to perform. And you know, I felt really bad for Rebecca. She just goes 100 miles an hour with the kids that day. They start from sun up to sundown. I think that was her 10th stop, Dr. Kim, that she had mentioned. Poor Rebecca had done this so her throat was just hoarse, and she was such a trooper. But what was really cool was that everyone in attendance, the Ed Foundation puts out a donation box, and they ended their evening with that small group that was there that night donated $1,000 to the choir program and gave their money so that the kids can continue doing great things. And so I really want to say thank you to all of them that were in attendance on that. I'm going to get a chance to speak a little bit more later, but I just wanted to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, a lot of Happy Kwanzaa. There's everything that we can go down and just what a great time to celebrate. But more importantly, please take time to be with family, decompress, relax, rest, because you guys all know that when you come back in January, it's a sprint to May. And that sprint takes place very, very quickly. So thank you very much. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, sir. And that'll take us to presentations. Our first interim financial report.
Okay, I am going to not give a lot of intro. I'm going to get her up there and let her do her thing. But I do want to take a moment as Carol makes her way to the stage, is that the first interim report that she will share is kind of the midway update of where we're at with the budget. And there is a lot of effort that goes into this. And I can tell you that Carol and her team have spent several months taking a lot of things into account to be very, very critical of what our numbers look like. And so tonight, part of that is for her to share with the board what that looks like midway through. And I just want to say thank you to Carol and the team, because I talk with and work with a lot of superintendents and a lot of school districts. I will assure you, when I hear stories, that our CBO is at the top. She's top notch. She knows what she's doing, and she is well respected in the Valley. And I know that I trust her immensely when it comes to numbers, because she knows what's happening. So, Carol, I want to say thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those kind words, Dr. Jordan. Good evening and congratulations to our new board president, Mr. Peterson, vice president, Dr. Aguilar, members, staff, and community. It is my pleasure to present to you the 24-25 first interim budget, as well as the multi-year projections. I'm also pleased to present a positive certification for your review and approval. As stated by Dr. Jordan and in the past, that the budget projection relies on collaboration and team efforts from various groups, such as executive leadership, cabinet, my department, and your directives as well, in order for us to execute a fiscal plan. I'm grateful for all the collaboration and supports, with the hopes that we continue to address budgetary issues as a unified group. Before I get into the presentation, I'd like to say one big thank you to the fiscal team, but especially Nikki for stepping up over the last 5 months, assuming the role of director. With that said, I'll get right into the presentation. So overall, I'll be covering the total general fund assumptions, the projections, the multi-year assumptions, other operating funds, ongoing considerations, and next steps. So I start with the assumptions, because this is how we're able to build our budget, project our revenues and expenditures. So starting with the statutory COLA, we receive 1.07% as a projection at the May revise, and that is still the COLA that will be funded this fiscal year. Looking on the projected years, we are projected at 2.93% for 25-26 and 3.08% for 26-27. Those have not changed as of now. Our enrollment projections are also projections and assumptions made by the district based on what's happening as well as the trends. At the adopted budget, our enrollment was at 4,248, and as of CBEDS in October, we saw some growth, and so we've now changed that to 4,275, and I'm keeping that flat across the multi-years. Our unduplicated pupil percent is a percent of our total enrollment for students who are foster youths, homeless, and free and reduced meals. That number is pretty consistent as it has been over the last few years. We are still, even though we are growing, we're still seeing some decline. And so our funded ADA is based on the prior year, three years average ADA. Because even though we have some growth in TK, we're still not seeing the growth in the upper grade levels. Our second group of assumptions is our CalSTRS and CalPERS. And so this represents the percentages that we contribute to pension costs. CalSTRS is pretty much staying flat. It has been at 19.10%, and it continues to be the same in the multi-year. CalPERS tends to go up and down somewhat, and so our 25-26 is showing a slight increase from 27.6 to 27.7, as well as our 26-27 year. We were looking at 28%. Now it's 28.30%. There's some growth in our lottery revenues, and at the adopted, we were looking at $177 for unrestricted and $72 for the restricted. Now we're seeing some growth where that's changed to $191 per ADA and $82 per ADA. So a little more revenues coming in. This slide shows the overall picture of our total general fund. This is a summary, and this represents the unrestricted as well as the restricted side of the general fund. And these changes are as of the adopted budget. So since the adopted budget, while we are compiling the first interim, we look at all the changes in revenues as well as expenditures. Our revenues at the adopted budget was projected at $78.8 million. Now we're looking at $80.5 million, which is some growth. Our expenditures was at $84 million, and now we're at $91 million. And that's not all new revenue, new expenditures. So some of those are based on carryovers. After we close the books, we see that some of the categorical programs do have carryovers. And so those are now built back into the budget at the first interim. Our net increase or decrease to the fund balance is showing deficit spending of $5.2 million at the adopted. Now we've doubled that to $10.9 million. Again, some of that is attributed to the carryovers. Our ending fund balance at the adopted was $13.4 million. Now we're looking at $7.6 million because we've rebudgeted some of those carryovers. As it relates to the components of the ending fund balance, our 3% reserves at the adopted is 2.6. Now it's 2.8 because now we have more expenditures. We are designating some of those fund balances to our S&C, supplemental and concentration funds. At the adopted, we're looking at 1.5. Now that we've revised the budget, we're looking at $262,000 as a carryover. Our restricted ending balance was $7.9 million. This is all our categorical programs. Now it's down to 3.8 because we've now rebudgeted all those carryovers. The multi-year projection, again, is a requirement that we show the current year plus the 2 subsequent years. And I'm also doing a comparison at the first interim to the adopted. Our revenues at the adopted on the unrestricted side was $47.8 million. Now we're looking at $45.6 million. That's showing a reduction of $2 million. Now, after analysis, the main reason for that reduction is the contribution to our special education programs. So we've seen that our special education program grew almost $2 million since we adopted the budget. And so the contribution comes off the top. It comes from the unrestricted side of the books. So we now transfer $2 million to support special education. It's also looking at our net increase or decrease. Our deficit spending was $2.8 million at the adopted. Now we're looking at $4.5 million. Again, this is because we're losing revenues that we transferred to special education. Our ending fund balance, we're still balanced. We're meeting our 3% reserves for the first interim, but we don't have a whole lot left over. Our total reserves is at 4.19%. Looking at our out years at 25-26, our revenues are up slightly, again, because of the COLA. We have 2.93% COLA that we're projecting. Our expenditures didn't go up a whole lot, but we are deficit spending 3.3 million because of the loss of our reserves in this current year. We need 2.7 million to meet at least our 3% reserves, but we only have $500,000 left over. And so in order for us to meet our reserves, we now have to transfer in from our special reserves fund to be able to stabilize and show that we have the 3%. So we need 2.2 million, which we will transfer in from special reserves. In our 26-27 year, again, now the beginning balance is only $500,000, and revenues are up slightly because of COLA. Expenditures are up a whole lot. We're now $52.7 million in expenditures, and deficit spending at $4 million. Now the question is, why is expenditures going up so much more over the current year? A portion of that is attributed to our expenditures in our one-time funds. And so now that the one-time dollars are going away, we now have to bring those expenditures over into the general fund, of course, until we make some decisions about how we move forward. And so after deficit spending, we're looking at a negative 3.5 million. That means we do not have any reserves. So at this point, we need $6.2 million to stabilize the budget and to meet the reserves. And so overall, we are looking right now, if we do nothing, to bring in $6.2 million into the general fund. Now, there was some discussion about what are some of the things impacting the bottom line, and I kind of spoke to this somewhat. After some analysis, we found that special education expenditures went up almost $2 million. And so at this point, we had addition of special education CELPA classes. They've also increased contract services, increased permanent hours for classified staff, some classified staff, and we have seen an increase of one-on-one special education aides. This side is the multi-year projection for the restricted side of the books. Again, the restricted side of the books pretty much stays in balance. Your revenues should match your expenditures. But I want to point out on the first interim for 24-25, you can see revenues went from 31 million to 34.8 million. A part of that is the additional 2 million that will now transfer into special ed. So they're seeing an increase in revenues because of that. Bottom line is the out years revenues do match expenditures, and that's what's expected on the restricted side of the books. As you know, we have other operating funds. We have adult education, cafeteria fund, we have our child care development fund, we have capital outlay project funds. And bottom line is that all funds are showing positive ending balances, which is very important because a lot of times these funds do encroach on the general fund, but we're not experiencing that, so that is a good thing. Ongoing considerations, these are always conversations, discussions around how do we move forward, what's happening in the budget. And again, I will speak to declining enrollment. We're still not growing. So as we decline, we lose more revenues. We're seeing reduced COLAs. For the last 4 years, COLAs were up really high. This year, we're only funded 1.07% as a COLA. Our one-time federal funds expired this past September 30th. We do have a small amount of one-time state funds. Those will expire in 2027. We're seeing rapid expense increases in special education programs, which is creating rapid erosion of fund balances. We have seen increased insurance premiums due to the AB 218 law, which is a new law. And we still have capital facilities needs. We're doing a lot, but there's still a need, and so we'll now have to start thinking about how do we get additional funds so that we can continue the things that we've been doing for facilities. And now LACO requires a board-approved fiscal stabilization plan, which they've required before, but especially with the deficit spending. Even though we're meeting the reserves, we are deficit spending, and so they need to have a plan to address the deficit spending. So later on, you'll also see a resolution that will be submitted to LACO. It's required so that we can start addressing the deficit and how we will stabilize the budget moving forward. Our next steps will be the governor's January budget proposal. The meeting we'll attend that meeting and come back with some information, so we're able to, get ready for a second interim. We'll also have a summary of the 23-24 audited financial report. The auditors have just completed their report, and they will be here to give a summary of the 23-24 fiscal year. And then we'll have the 24-25 second interim budget in March. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Are there any questions? Ms. McGuire?
Thank you so much for this thorough report. I have one question. When we factor out the expenditures of our out years, how do we calculate, or where do we receive like the cost of inflation or increased costs of doing business, like supplies and things of that
So
nature?
we do have guidance from the state, like School Services of California. They do give us a multi-year projection on those areas. So we'll have a multi-year projection on the COLA, we'll have CPI, we'll have pension costs. So they do give us a multi-year projection. So that's our guidance. And LACO also does provide some guidance as well. You're welcome.
All right, any other questions? Dr. Aguilar?
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you, Ms. Branford. I have a question in relation to our funded ADA, looking at it from the 24-25 adopted budget, moving over to the interim budget that we're looking at now. This is on slide 3, by the way. So I noticed that, we have an actual increase in enrollment from the adopted to the first interim, but then the funded ADA is lower than in the adopted budget. So is that reflective of an actual decrease in average daily attendance that we're seeing? Is that number like a current ADA that we have for this particular year?
So at this point, I did not change the ADA to reflect the increase in enrollment because we're only now compiling P1 and we're funded on P2. So again, it's based on actual attendance. And so until we get to around April, we won't know that number for sure. And so it also depends on kids coming to school. So I didn't want to be making a projection for higher AD at this point.
Right.
So I prefer to wait until we have more information.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I like the conservative approach, right? We don't want to count our chickens before they've hatched, I guess, as they say. But that also does mean that potentially, if attendance rates were stable, assuming that, then potentially there could be an increase where you have a bump of students, and if you assume you're going to continue with around 94% attendance or whatever their current number may be, that then we'll also see a higher funded ADA.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then along those same lines, going outwards to the projections for 25, 26, 26, 27, obviously we're assuming our enrollment may stay stable at that particular point. We don't know, right? That's just the assumption. But along with that, the funded ADA also is shown to decrease in the 25, 26, 26, 27. So that's also, again, part of just the conservative
Just what
accounting.
we knew at the adoption, and it's purely based on P2 of last year, and we're funded on an average 3 years. So even if we're growing this year, the last 2 years would bring that number down.
Okay.
So we are better off using the average 3 years because we're still not at the point we're higher than the previous year.
Okay. So,
Yes.
yeah, actually, that's a good question, just to kind of clarify that for me too, because it's written as it's the greater of the current or prior year?
Yes. So if we're growing this year, let's say our P2 comes out higher than last year, we will be funded on this year. However, if the average prior 3 year works better, we'll get that.
Right.
So right now, it's better for us for the prior 3 years average.
Okay. And then also just to remind me, the TK bump, that occurred in this current year's 24, 25 and the adopted enrollment that we have from the TK
Yes.
enrollment? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rose?
Last year, we gave pay raise to everyone in the district, like in the 4.3, I believe that was the number.
In terms of dollars or percent?
Well, the percent, if you remember, not a dollar would be like 4.2 million.
4.2 million, yes, somewhere.
So
there.
that also contribute to our deficits?
Yes, all the expenses would, and especially if we're funded lower than the prior year, is impacting the current year because those are ongoing costs.
Right, I don't dispute about the pay raise. So it did impact our budget. So in the next 3 years, we will have to find revenue to cover the expenses, correct?
Correct, but a lot of the revenues is not controlled, it's purely based on ADA. So that's our base funding in terms of revenues. It's purely based on our funding model.
So if there's a request for a pay increase, it will increase our deficit in our budget, correct?
Yes, it will.
I mean, guaranteeing will be more deficits, right?
Correct.
No other way around, right?
No.
It's just going to increase the deficit. Okay, so that's a good number to, good information to keep that in mind. I have a question about the, one moment, I have it here. The COLA with, on page 3, it's still there. Right, page 3, yeah. So there's the projection for 25, 26, 2.93. But that could go down if the government decides to do it, to decrease below 2.93. Will that affect the budget?
Yes, it will. And yes, you're correct. It could go down, it could go up. We don't know. So depending on how the state's doing financially. And so if the state's seeing more growth in revenues, then we'll probably see more COLA. So it all depends on the state's performance.
I noticed that there's the deficit under restricted fund.
Okay.
If we look at that, I forget what page it is. That's on page 8. Now, the total revenue, it came from the federal and state levels and not from ADA, correct?
Correct.
The revenue.
Correct. Restricted is based on, it could be ADA, but it's a formula depending on if it's a grant or if it's an entitlement. So it depends on the grant. It could be based on ADA or it could be enrollment.
Oh, okay, and or the
Yes,
ADA?
yes, but this is not our base funding. This is categorical, so it's additional funding.
Yeah, the increase of expenses to cover special education. There was no money in the restricted fund to cover the expenses. We moved the money from unrestricted
So we get
to
some
cover the
funding
expenses in the restricted funds.
We get some funding for special education. It's never fully funded. So we receive maybe 40% funding, both federal and state. So the district is funding about 60% of special education.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all, Mr. President.
Oh, well, thank you, Correll.
You're
Appreciate all the work.
Absolutely.
And making something so complicated seems so easy to understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That'll take us to public comments. And we have no cards, so we'll move on to item 16, informational annual accounting of developer fees. Dr. Jordan.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'll say it again, I was off. I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Branford, who will give us a quick overview of developer fees.
Okay. Good evening
I
again.
think we have a slide too, if you want.
Okay, so this is a government requirement, Government Code Section 66006, that the district reports annual accounting of developer fees for the previous fiscal year. So this is a report for 23-24 fiscal year. And the activities in the fund was, the beginning fund balance was 2.1 million. We collected revenues of 71,000, and interest accumulation of 93,000. And we also have what we call fair value of investments. That's basically a portion of the revenues, but based on our audits and GASB, there's a requirement that we value our cash, and this happens in all our funds. And so basically, that's still our revenues that's set aside because of this GASB requirement. And so overall, we had 0 expenditures, and overall, our fund balance at the end of June 30, 24, is at $2.3 million. So that's all the activities in the developer fee funds.
Okay, so these are restricted funds.
They are restricted, and it's basically used for construction or modernization based on growth. And so the history behind this fund is that during growth, you're able to utilize these funds to add classrooms, technology, furniture, to accommodate students coming in. And so this fund, the revenues have been sitting for a while because of declining enrollment. So all districts have these funds sitting. So until you start seeing some growth, you're not able to utilize those funds. Now, with TK addition, we're having those discussions of how we can now utilize some of these funds.
Thank you. Any other questions? Ms. Aguilar? Ms. Aguilar, Dr. Aguilar? Ms. McGuire? No? Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
That takes us to action items. Business services, number 1, budget revisions and transfers. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Ms. McGuire, can I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
Dr. Aguilar? Dr. Jordan? Yeah. Any discussion? Mr. Rose?
Yes, question. When you fill out the form to revise and transfer funds between different accounts, is that also a process for us to transfer funds to cover services that they needed? For example, if one fund is low on money, we can transfer fund from another account to add to.
We can do that,
yeah.
but it's a different process. This represents within each fund. So the adjustments that we made for the first interim budget is actually the increase or decrease in revenues, and the same for expenditures, increase or decrease. And so within each category, we would make those changes. So these adjustments will go to the county. We'll send a file that shows all the adjustments since we've adopted the budget.
Okay. That include the special education?
Yes, yes.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, I'll go ahead and call for a vote. Logan?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes 4-0 with the 2 students, reps in affirm and 1 absent. That takes us to item number 2, first interim financial certification, which is the presentation that Ms. Branford gave a little while ago. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second? Mr. Rose?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Rose?
Yes. It appears that we're going to submit the positive certification to the county, right? I'm a little confused if you can clarify that if the 3-year plan showed 3 straight years of deficits, how do you be positive? What required us? We don't want to go anything lower than this, of course, but I'm a little confused how that work. How do you be certain that it is going to be a positive certification?
Because we still have sufficient reserves to meet the required 3% that the state requires of us.
Oh, that the 3% require is one of the requirements that we need to maintain.
Yes, and that's what makes it positive, if we have reserves in all 3 years.
That also, you also will submit fiscal stabilization plan.
So that's coming up on a separate item.
Oh, okay, that's related to future meetings, I believe.
Next.
Oh, it is. Let me see. Yeah. Right, that I don't see here.
Item 3.
Number 3, right? Okay, thank you.
I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Logan?
Yes.
Azuri? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes 4-0 with 1 absent and 2 student reps in the affirmative. Takes us to item 3, resolution number 162324. Resolution to identify the amount of budget restrictions needed in fiscal years 25, 26, 26, 27, and to require that a list of budget restrictions be accepted. Can I get a motion?
I move.
Okay. Second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Mr. Rose?
With the plan in place, this is required to be sent to the county, right? So when the county review our plan and get back to us with the positive certificate,
They will. They just want to see that we're showing that we'll make some progress towards reducing our deficit spending.
so if we're not meeting, if we had, okay, if we showing deficit down the line, we have to use the plan to reduce expenses, correct?
Correct.
And that's up to the board to decide.
The board, yes, the board will give directives and we will work as administration to start making some progress towards reducing that deficit.
So the last question is important when I'm trying to figure out what role the county had in relationship with us, is that if we submit the reduction plan to the county and they're not satisfied with our plan or our budget, they can say no, get back to us and say, you have to make a revision to show a way to reduce deficits, right?
Yes, they will have conversations and meetings with us because they'll want specifics. And those are things that we'll absolutely be working with them on.
The bottom line is the county wanted us to not have a deficit,
Correct.
no matter what.
Deficits do happen, but if you're showing that you're managing it and you're reducing it, the county will, support if you're making those efforts.
I think for
Thank you.
clarification, what the county wants is to make sure that the school districts that they oversee, which are 80 of them in LA County, they want to make sure that you don't continue business as usual, receiving less funding, having more expenses, because they're ultimately going to be the overseers to the state of making sure that districts don't go under and get taken over by the state of California. So we've got a fiscal responsibility as a district to project 3 years out, to monitor our expenditures, to work collaboratively with our stakeholders, with our employee associations, work with the board to develop a plan. You can't go with the assumption that we're going to sit here and do absolutely nothing for the next 3 years. You've got to go with the assumption of a plan, working collaboratively so that we can protect the district, protect our employees as we move forward. So as we do that, yes, reductions are going to have to take place. That's the reality. We've got to work on a process on how we reach those decisions. We will make a presentation to the board in the future of recommendations for consideration, and then that will go to to LACO. The county's not going to not accept our plan. If we're showing a reduction in the structural deficit, and we're showing less reserves need to be used, they're not going to reject our plan. They're going to applaud us for being diligent in our job of being able to produce a positive budget.
Now, the plan does not include using our reserve fund.
Say it again.
The plan does not include using funds from the reserve funds.
So the plan,
property.
yeah. So the plan right now, as you can see where Krill showed the interfund transfers in, those are placeholders right now. If we do
Gotcha.
absolutely nothing in the next 3 years, and we continue with the exact same expenses, then you're going to need to go to your reserves to have a positive certification. However, we should be very thankful that we have those reserves sitting there, because if you recall, I've said to this board about 3 years ago that at some point, one-time funding is going to run out from the federal and the state, and that's close to happening, and that we were very purposeful on working and putting that money aside in the event that something happened either at the state level or the district level, that we need protection. If you recall, when I came here 5 years ago, we couldn't
I
meet the
remember.
3% reserve. We had no money from anywhere else to pull. So even
That's true.
though right now we have a place to put it, we cannot just assume that that's going to ride through and we're going to get through. We're going to make those necessary reductions. As I mentioned, there's a process that Dr. Kim and the team will work on, and we will not need to use all those reserves if we work collaboratively and if this board supports an action plan on how to reduce those expenses. And I can tell you right now, there is not a district in LA County that's not having the same conversation right now.
Right. May I have a comment? Thank you. Today I found out that the district in Santa Ana School District, they put out a list of potential layoffs already in place. They had that plan in place. So it's going to happen one way or the other. It's going to have, like Dr. Jordan was mentioning, there's a domino effect and have a lot of impact in every district in California. We're one of them too. And I believe that we did a very good job of being proactive in place so that we have the funding side just in case we need them. Hopefully we don't, because we can really work together. Hopefully the state will come down with some extra revenue. We'll see when we hear from the governor in January. So I just want to let you know that that's what I heard, the latest news from Santa Ana School District.
I think I would be really cautious because it's a very sensitive topic. And I think that superficially to make just general statements when you start talking about the effective employees is very dangerous. I think that before decisions are made, you really need to analyze all the expenditures that are in the budget. You need, again, this is more time than ever that we've got to work with our labor groups right now to work as partners on how we come together to be able to provide the support. And please don't just run to the conclusion there's only one way to fix this, because there's not one way. And I guarantee that we're in a spot right now where all groups are working collaboratively, and I'm confident that there will be good things that will come out of this that will be good. Just, you got to work through the process.
I just want to remind you that we can't be overly optimistic about this as well. So we have to keep that in mind and prepare for pessimism. Views. I mean, we got to be prepared for the worst case scenarios so that we can try to do what we can to protect our program in our school district, including intervention specialists. I agree that especially me, I gotta be careful what I say this, but I'm the kind of guy that I look on the conservative side, looking at the budget carefully and see where we are right now and what we can do to preserve our program in our district.
All right, any other discussion?
I'm done. Back to you, Mr. President.
All right, I think we're very fortunate that we've had forward-thinking leadership here with Dr. Jordan, Ms. Branford, looking forward as opposed to just waiting for things to happen. They're anticipating things, and I appreciate their efforts on that side. And with that, I will call for the vote. Azuri. Logan.
Yes.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Ms. McGuire.
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes 4-0 with 2 student reps in the affirm. And that will, well, on the side, do you need a break? I'm fine. You're good? Okay, all right. Takes us to Human Resources, B1, approval of collective bargaining agreement with the CSEA. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Dr. Aguilar, second?
I'll second.
Ms. McGuire, any discussion? All right, with no, yes,
Can we have an explanation, please?
sure, Dr. Jordan?
Sure. I'll have Dr. Kim, who's been working on this, talk a little bit about this.
Yes, so this is really a codification into the contract of an agreement that was made prior last school year. It is not a conclusion of negotiations related to compensation. It's inclusion of language with respect to a 30th year longevity year for classified employees. And again, this is a clarification of something that was not included at the last juncture.
Yeah, I just wanted to say
Comment? Go ahead.
it's amazing that we actually have teachers who have stayed with us for 30 years that we can even be having this conversation. Oh, classified. Well, employees that have been with us for that long, so we can even have this conversation.
Yes, ma'am. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Missouri?
Yes.
Logan?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mrs. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion passes 4-0 with 1 absent and 2 student reps in the affirmative. And that'll take us to the consent calendar. Does anybody want anything pulled?
I got
Dr.
one.
Aguilar?
I'll pull item 18C3 under Human Resources.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, can I get a motion to pass the consent calendar with the exception of 18C3?
I move.
You move? Mr. Rose, second?
I'll second.
Ms. McGuire, and I'll call for the vote. Zuri?
Yes.
Logan? Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Motion passes 4-0, with 2 in the, 2 student reps in the affirmative and 1 absent. And that'll take us to item C3,
I'll make the motion.
and I'll second that. Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to highlight, I thought this was an awesome partnership that we have the opportunity to approve here. Obviously, as a local education agency, we love education, and here we have an opportunity to support the continuing education of our employees. As they continue to also seek ways to educate themselves further. Here's a partnership with, in this particular case, a Southern California University, California Baptist University, where they will be able to have a waiving of their application fee and even a reduction of their tuition through scholarship. And I think that's an amazing partnership. I'd love to see even more of these partnerships down the road to continue to support more of our employees as they pursue their education.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And any further discussion? Okay, with that, I'll call for the vote. Missouri?
Yes.
Logan?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mrs. McGuire?
Yes.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Motion passes 4-0, 2 student reps in the affirmative and 1 absent. And that'll take us to item D1. No, that's consent. That'll take us to board comments. Mr. Rose?
Yes, I enjoyed the Covina and Glendora parades. It's been good. We were in all high spirits. A lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, saying, Merry Christmas, and along the road. And we did the most the most loudest when we were off the parade. And we want everybody to hear that we're okay and have a good season. We all have issues, but we were out there telling them Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And we caught them smiling too and waving us back, and it's great spirit. This is for Great Peterson, that now you're the president of the board. I'm looking forward to work with you. I would like to see that you follow the footsteps that Dr. Aguilar displayed, as well as McGuire, to be open, hear our concern, make some good decisions that will benefit the entire board. Looking forward to work with you down the line. The budget, I understand that we have some concern with, but I think this board will keep capturing what's going on in the district, and looking forward to work with Corel. And we're looking forward to have a balanced budget. I'm looking forward to keep the program running in our school district, not affected, because the board did a good job the last 5 years having that programs to serve our students. I want to thank Dr. Jordan for being our superintendent in the last 5 years, I believe. Happy retirement. Good luck in your interview. Thank you, and looking forward to working with Dr. Kim. Welcome aboard, and looking forward to serve your staff as well. Mr. President, thank you.
Well, happy December, Merry Christmas, all of those fun things, happy holidays. My usual reminder, FAFSA is open, and it is simplified. So if you are a senior or if you know other seniors, please submit your free application for federal student aid. Even if you're not sure if you're going to college, you want to ensure that you keep all doors open and find out what financing is available to you. In that same tune, we also have community scholarships that are available to students of Charter Oak. So please make sure you look at your high school bulletin and apply for every single scholarship, even if you don't think you're eligible. Also find scholarship lists on Instagram. Again, you want to keep all opportunities available to you. I also attended the parades. I attended Glendora Parade for the first time. We had an amazing time. As Mr. Rose said, we had an even better time once the parade ended, and we yelled through the streets of Glendora and Covina on our float, which was amazing and fantastic, and thank you to all of the team members who helped put it together. I was yelling from the float when people said, "Nice float." I was like, "Our team made it! We made this!" Because I was just so proud of it, so thank you for that. Also, I want to say thank you very much, Dr. Jordan, for your service here on the board. We're going to miss you. We hope you come back sometimes and, do public comment and fun things like that. I love it. And Dr. Kim, welcome. We look forward to working in partnership with you as you continue to lead our district forward. I did want to share that we do have some budget concerns, right? But what district doesn't? I'm confident that we can continue to work together to find solutions. And also I want to say this is why school district advocacy is so important. As you can hear, we don't get the state investments or the federal investments that we should on the local level. And we can work hard to increase those investments if we talk to the people who make the decisions. And that's not something that only our lobbyist has to do. That's not something that only a superintendent has to do. That's not even something only a board member needs to do. As a parent, as a PTA member, as a teacher, you all are always permitted to go to the governor's office, write the president or the Department of Education and talk about the investments to our local district. So I want to encourage everyone to do that. My mom is gone, but some of you guys have already heard it's very important to me that she swore me in. She was supposed to swear me in 2020, but could not figure out how to use Zoom. And we were in the middle of the pandemic, so she couldn't. So I was really happy that she was able to do that today because a part of her story is that as a 7-year-old in Alabama, she actually integrated her public school system with the guidance, of course, of my grandma. So to have my mom who integrated her schools then swear me in as a board member to a public school district is very important to me. So I was very pleased and very happy, and that was a big moment for me. I've enjoyed my time as president. I am grateful to the community for trusting me to continue to serve as a board member. And to me, elected leadership at this level is something that I do because my deep love and my high regard for the community. It's really not a job. This is my public service and what I do to pay back our community. So there's a quote somewhere that says, "Service is the rent you pay for your space on this earth." And so that's really how I consider the work that we do. With that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy everything, and I look forward to seeing you all next year.
Dr. Aguilar?
Thank you. Yes, outgoing President McGuire, thank you so much for your service this past year. It's been an honor. You've done an amazing job. And so we know Mr. Peterson has some more shoes to fill, as he does every year, so that's great. And welcome, Mr. Peterson, to the role of president once again. You were president when I first came on the board, I believe, so it's kind of a full circle type of thing. Yeah, it was just kind of fun, so that's great. That'll be awesome. Of course, happy holidays to everybody. Get some rest out there. We do know someone who's going to be getting quite a bit of rest come January 1, and that is our Dr. Jordan, our favorite superintendent of the past 5 years. Hopefully we have more favorite superintendents as we go forward as well every year, yeah. It's been a pleasure, Dr. Jordan. You're the first superintendent I've ever had the pleasure of working alongside. And I know I'll continue to be able to share the wisdom I've learned through this experience, having learned much from you, with Dr. Kim as he steps into this role and any other future superintendents, if I continue to serve as board members for who knows how long, I don't know, hopefully not too much. And I love it, but not forever. But thank you so much, Dr. Jordan. It's been amazing, and I hope we'll continue to be acquainted with one another going forward. So thank you.
All right. I actually like these kind of meetings, but I don't. Last time I was sitting in this chair, you announced you were retiring, and now I have to go through the fact that you're retiring now. So, but the fact that we celebrated our students, our student athletes, our band members, that's huge for our district, because these kids need the recognition for what they're doing. Not only are they pushing themselves on the court, in the music, in the VAPA program, the band members, band camp starts at like 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. You're out there sweating all day long. But these kids put in a lot of work, and it's great that we're able to show our appreciation to them. And I didn't know the volleyball team made it that far, but I'm excited because my kids will be playing, hopefully. So I'm looking forward to being part of that aspect of things. The parade was phenomenal. Logan, you had a great time, man. Did Grandma like it? Yeah. Is she here? Okay. That was the best part of it, is watching you. It was great, man. It was fantastic. And Bob, thanks for driving so fast. Yeah, it was great. In regards to that, I also want to call out Dr. Kim. Prior to the parade, Dr. Kim came across a gentleman who was having a medical issue. And he jumped in and assisted this gentleman on the sidewalk. Got in touch with 911, was giving them updates regarding the condition of the subject. But I appreciate the fact you jumped in and just went at it, man. It was great to see, and I thank you for that. And I'm sure the gentleman appreciates it also, so thank you. I got a chance to go to a wrestling match last night when was it last night? What's today? No, on Tuesday? No, it was last night. Yeah, last night. Got to watch Northview and Charter Oak wrestle. That was fun. I always get a hard time from my kids who I teach that they want us to go to see them. So they were all surprised that I was there at an away game, but they didn't realize I was double dipping, getting both the school district stuff in. But it was good to see a lot of people show up for those events, and it's really good to recognize those kids. The student athletes, like I said, they put in so much work, and we should be recognizing them more. Their finals are coming up. Good luck in your last day tomorrow. Hopefully everything goes well. I know I have 2-hour blocks, and my kids are bored because we already took care of our finals. So I got one more class tomorrow, and then I'm gone. Happy holidays to everybody. Be safe. Merry Christmas. Dr. Jordan, thank you for the past 5 years. You've been phenomenal. We needed someone like you to come in. We needed you to help us and get us to the point where we're at. And you've gone above and beyond our expectations, at least my expectations. So I appreciate that. You're a take care of it type of person. You're a visionary. And you're a forward thinker. And you put your people in a position to succeed. So I know, although we're going to miss you, we have the right people in place to continue your efforts. So thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that. And with that, everyone have a happy holiday. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jordan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peterson, Mr. President. This doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while I do make a few notes just so I don't miss anything here, but this is very short. I just want to, first of all, just start out by just saying thank you. I mean, you'll hear that a million times. You don't know how much Charter Oak has changed me professionally and personally. When I first came here, you guys have all alluded to the fact that people work really hard, but there was a cultural piece that people just wanted to be a part of something. And if you recall, the first thing that we did when we went to recognize our staff is we bought baseball jerseys for everybody. And that was very intentional, and I'll share my secret 5 years later, is being a former coach, we wore uniforms, and you wear a uniform because you're a part of something. You work hard to come together for something. you work for a common cause. And that was the first thing that I knew we need to do as a school district, is put jerseys on everybody that signify that we all work together for Charter Oak Unified. Even though we've got individual schools, as a whole, we are the district. And I think from that point on, things began to change because people began to feel good, they began to be a part of something, and we began to make progress. And so it was just a silly idea, but everyone said, this is great, and I really feel good because I think we're in a better spot. We're in a better spot, I think, because our community really supports our schools. Our parents, when you talk to our parents, they realize the hard work that's being done, and they want to support. They want to be a part of that as well. So I think our community, we've got community partners out there that do a lot of advocacy and fundraising for us. You look at what the Ed Foundation does to give money back to our schools. You look at what the Scholarship Foundation does to give money back to our kids. We have our Rotary groups. We've got the Chatfield group. All those groups come back and they try to see how can they help us. Lately, we've had both the Glendora and the city of Covina. They've just raved about how much they like to come and be a part of our activities and our events, and they appreciate us helping them. It's a partnership. Again, people want to be a part of something special, and I think that's what we've developed. I need to thank all of our employees, certificated, classified, at the school sites. If you go around as often to the school sites as I get to go, you see people working extremely hard, multitasking, and doing this because they want to do good things for kids. And guys, that's why we come to work every day, because of the students that come to our school. And I appreciate the work that they do. I appreciate the effort. They go above and beyond to make good things happen. And it's not easy. It's not easy work. I need to thank all of our employees at the district office. Everyone thinks that when you come to this building, nobody does anything, and it's just, a place that you go get coffee all day. Okay, that might just be me, but nobody else. But I can tell you, when you walk around to our different departments, our folks work hard as well. And they have the mission of working hard to support the schools, because they know when they support the schools support kids. So it's a domino effect. And we've had to work really hard to entrench that in everyone's mind, and everyone's bought into that. And if you go to anyone at the district office, they know their purpose, why they come here, is to support schools. Because when schools are supported, kids are supported, and we've got an amazing district. I need to thank our district cabinet. These are really talented individuals. They work extremely hard. As Mr. Peterson said, they've all been trained well. They're knowledgeable in their content area. And these guys know their number one thing is to support principals, because the principals need to support our teachers and our classified staff, because, again, I'll say this a million times, this is what we believe in, because then they help kids. And our district cabinet, bar none, is at the top. I need to thank Lori, because nobody knows what the world of a superintendent looks like except for two people. This is one of them, and she's the one that I really call the real superintendent. Yeah, because she knows everything. She knows when I need it, how it needs to get done, deadlines, reminders. Even if she's got to write it, she knows what needs to happen to make sure that this office is supporting everyone in this district. So it has been a great 5 years. We joke now. I'm no longer her boss. We now are officially friends. This is like stepbrothers. We are officially best friends. The second person that I need to thank, and I think she's watching right now, is my wife, Deanna. We've been married for 35 years. I've been in education for 35 years. We got married my very first year that I was a football coach. Over the 35 years, I don't know how much she has sacrificed around my schedule, because whether I was coaching late hours on the weekends and at night, or when I became a high school principal and I was working on the weekends or night, or if I was a superintendent working nights and weekends, she seems like she's the only one that's always been left out. And so my promise to her is, first of all, if you're watching and listening, thank you. The second thing is, these next 35 years are all hers, and I'm gonna make sure that she's taken care of, and I'm gonna work around her schedule. So I owe her everything. Wrapping up, I want to congratulate my good friend, Dr. Kim. I think this board made an outstanding decision to keep our vision moving forward. He has been a part of everything that's been going on in the last 5 years. He's prepared, he's knowledgeable, he is ready. He probably has 1,000,000 times more energy than I do because I'm becoming an old man now. But he's ready for the challenge. And he is going to do great. You know why he's going to do great? Because of all these folks that already come in and do great things every day, they're going to help support him, and this board will support him. And so I thank you for that. And then as I wrap up, I need to thank the 5 of you. I know Jeanette's not here right now. School boards have one important thing to do, and that's to hire a superintendent. One person only works for the school board, and that's the superintendent. And you get to decide the role of what that superintendent does and doesn't do. You set my goals every year. You provide good feedback to me every year. You set a vision. Your leadership is absolutely amazing. Like I said, I get a chance to talk to a lot of people. I get a chance to read a lot of things in the paper, in magazines. This school board, bar none, is at the top because you guys work together. You may not agree on everything all the time, but what you do is you're willing to listen, you're willing to provide input, and in the end, you are always going to do what's right to support this school district. And that's not always the case because there's times now where people are very self-serving and they're looking at what's best for them. And don't change. I do appreciate just our one-on-ones. I appreciate just everything you guys have done. It's not easy having 5 bosses, but you guys make it really fun. You make it easy, and I hope that you'll do the same for Dr. Kim. But I've got a lot of respect for all 5 of you. I really appreciate what you do, and I just want to say thank you. You really have helped me. And so with that said, this is the end. And I'm sure I'll dabble in a few more things as we move forward, but it's been a great career. I don't regret one thing. I always tell everybody, because I was told this when I was about 26 years old, make sure you finish your career with the same enthusiasm that you started with. And I can tell you, I still feel exactly the same with when I was 25 years old. So thank you, everyone. Happy holidays. And Mr. Peterson, thank you for letting me wrap up the meeting.
Well, you're not wrapped up yet, but yeah, you still got a few more weeks before you're off, right?
6 more days.
Yeah, 6 more days. But I can say we are better now than when you got here, and that's a true measurement of leadership. And once again, thank you. We can't thank you enough for what you've done for us, so thank you. All right, one more thing I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. Chief David Pavero of the Covina Police Department is also retiring within the next couple of weeks. He was a partner of mine for, all 27 years that I worked at the PD, and he's been a great leader of the community, great partner of Charter Oak, and I wish him well in his retirement. And Rick Walzak is going to be the new chief coming in, and he too is a local kid who's been with the agency. You know, he was an explorer with the agency at the age of like 16, I believe. So he's been there a long time. He's going to do really well for us, and he's going to be a great partner for us also. So I wish Dave good luck in his retirement. Jeff, good luck in your retirement. Deanna, good luck. And with that, our future meeting, January 16th, and there's no need for